What is up, my weebs? Buckle up because this week's episode of Degeneracy is a roller coaster. Remember, smash that like button, subscribe for more juicy sauce, and leave a comment telling me the most random, goofy nonsense that you're thinking of right now. In this high school, crawling with hormonal teens just discovering the secrets of their lower holy grail, a club of untouched waifus with a psycho boner for written smut decided to ditch their cringy cocoon life and live out their wildest manga fantasies. Obviously, a school day wouldn't be complete without the uncapped waifu club's super dramatic reading smut. Like every other club meeting, they huddled in, all ears, while the top waifu of the day blasted their fave author's latest drop on the art of sippin' nectar from the Holy Grail. You know what I mean. After their daily dose of dopamine overload, they calmed their degenerate minds with a cup of tea. But then, Hongo, who gives off major goth vibes, had to turn tea time into a freaking light novel scene instead of admitting they all need therapy. These total bookworms, right? They were hella focused on some of their classmates chilling by, about to hit up a karaoke bar for some drinks. Like, can you believe that? Their leader, this dude named Sunzaki, was all like, gross, normal people are the worst. He thought that kind of stuff was better as a plot in a manga. Meanwhile, the oranges and cupcakes they were always talking about were probably moldy by now, because they never saw the light of day. Fast forward to these two sidekicks, basically extras to this girl named Nina Sagira, a Japanese chick. They were hanging at the train station talking about their lame, dull lives. Then boom, one of them spots this hot dude she knows, heading to the same station with a couple of his bros. After giving them the death stare, they dipped out of there. This chick, totally bugging out, kept creeping on this dude on the train, who was all chill reading a book in another section. Turns out, Mr. Sexy over there was actually Isumi, a childhood friend who, unlike our girl here, apparently decided to level up his brain game. Meanwhile, our Riz-obsessed gal was busy frying her brain with some aku stuff so spicy it almost scrambled her happy chemicals. So, she bounces over to her mom, who basically tells her to take some soup to Isumi since his mom dipped out of town. Kazusa finds Isumi stuffing his face like nobody's business, probably wondering what other parts of him grew besides his brain. Smooth move, Kazusa, but Isumi ain't down with that. Gotta keep the squad safe, you know? The next day, Zaki, this dude who's obsessed with corn novels, stumbles upon another special edition about a dying dude with a bucket list. Inspired, they all start brainstorming their own bucket lists, which totally spirals into a group freakout when Na, this chick, drops a bomb about wanting to get clapped. Mocha, trying to understand the logic behind this, pulls Na aside. Syra, ever the voice of reason, schools Na on how life's too short to miss out on the joys of, well, let's just say some freshly grown tree trunks. Remember that wishlist fiasco that ended with Zaki getting roasted by the entire class, except for Amiri, who thinks she's a model seriously girl? Get a grip? Well, things just keep getting weirder. Kazusa's mom sends her over to Asumi's place again with some food, and guess what she finds? The dude's beating his, well, let's just say his meat stick to a pulp with a sock. Talk about awkward. The next day, Kazusa's brain officially melts trying to understand the questionable corn videos Yumi's watching while giving her sausage a hard time. Later, she spots Nina with a total creep and whips out the ultimate escape tactic, claiming they both have herpes. Genius move, Kazusa. Nina, forever grateful, spills the tea on what it's like growing up with looks like hers. Apparently, aspiring actresses need a whole arsenal of creepshow escape techniques to survive. Back home, Kazusa has a burning boy question for her dad, but Isumi, who conveniently showed up for dinner, intercepts and pulls her aside. Kazusa clarifies that she's not asking about his, meat-beating techniques. Phew. Zaki and Nina went overboard with their hypno word? Yeah, major cringe. Well, they knew they had to shut it down. So mission number 1, find a new word. Easier said than done. Zaki's brain short-circuited faster than a toaster in a rainstorm trying to come up with an alternative. Meanwhile, Hongo, the aspiring author, got roasted by some random hater. Talk about a confidence crusher. Gym class wasn't much smoother for Zaki. Aiming for athletic glory with some box jumps? More like epic fail. Turns out her fitness level was on par with a newborn giraffe. Agi swooped in with some flirty banter, but Zaki, the innocent cinnamon roll, froze like a deer in headlights and bolted. Back at the clubhouse, the word-finding mission was a total bust. Kazusa, ever the detective, spotted Ada making a move on Izumi. Cue the stalk fest with Nana as camerawoman and Mocha as the emotional support penguin. Dude got rejected, yikes. Nina ambushed Izumi with a camera, and Kazusa, bursting with questions, came charging in like a bull in a china shop. But guess what? Our sweet, innocent Kazusa ended up blurting out the perfect replacement word without even realizing it. Looks like Sanaki finally got their wish granted, even if it was by accident. They chillin' in the club talking about easy Eckhart wisdom, living life-sized like that giant panda mascot, when boom. The Patrick, looking vice principal, crashes the party and threatens to shut them down. Apparently, a club advisor is the key to keeping this party train rolling. Meanwhile, Nina and Kazusa are by the river drowning their sorrows. Nina drops some truth bombs about Kazusa's hidden feelings for a certain someone, which sends the waterworks into overdrive. Talk about adding fuel to the fire. Our brains are already fried from all this drama, so Hongo and Zaki decide to hit the shops for some retail therapy. But hold up. Zaki's scaring the cashier while trying to buy a magazine with Amigi, the model who supposedly looks like Hongo on the cover. Hongo, ever the smooth operator, ditches Zaki and calls the editor to get the lowdown on a published article. Turns out, her wannabe bad girl act makes her writing sound like a bad case of fake news. Later that night, Hongo's venting to her online bestie, but the frustration boils over. She's done with pretend. She wants the real deal. This club closure drama, unrequited crushes, and failed writing careers. It's enough to make anyone want to ditch the script and rewrite their whole life story. So, next day rolls around, and guess who wasn't feeling the whole getting filmed from the bushes vibe? Big sis Izumi. Dragged out of class like a dang fugitive, she's all worried about Kazusa. Like, seriously, who knew a Gen Z dude could be so boomer about filming people? Kazusa, ever the voice of reason, tries to explain that girls like her worry about getting clapped, too, you know? But no, gotta get that drama. Meanwhile, the rest of the girls are striking out with finding an advisor. Apparently, the mere sight of Hongo's face is enough to send a teacher into a full-blown meltdown. Talk about high maintenance. Back at Kazusa's place, she's brainstorming solutions while watering her plants. Gotta stay zen, right? When Izumi's mom calls her in for meatloaf duty. On a side note, while grabbing something from Izumi's room, Kazusa stumbles upon a childhood CD cue the nostalgia feels. She totally forgets to return it. And guess who's freaking out? Yep, Izumi. Looks like someone's gonna be in hot water. Speaking of hot water, Hongo took some, questionable advice from a podcast and decided to strip search her sister for answers. Yikes! Turns out her online plotting buddy is actually her teacher from school. Plot twist. Kazusa, meanwhile, is freaking out about the CD and completely forgets about her half-eaten sandwich. Our favorite, questionable teacher, Yamagishi, is about to lose his haven. The club's getting disbanded. But fret not, Hongo pulls a miracle, saving the day, and probably Yamagishi's sanity. This sneaky ninja busts into Izumi's crib to return a special gift, a buscorn compilation meant for some sausage-related activity by the train-obsessed weirdo, Otaku. But guess what? Izumi catches her red-handed and drops a truth bomb. He never considered, well, you know, with Kazusa. Cue the waterworks. Our resident creepy stalker Zaki decides to ditch the glasses and go for a makeover. Shockingly, she doesn't look like a rabid squirrel anymore. Bonus points for catching the eye of a sworn enemy. Payback's a you-know-what. Speaking of enemies, Zaki publicly roasts AI, her not-so-secret admirer, who then chases her up some stairs demanding a 50-page essay to prove his love isn't just a glasses fetish. Mocha seeks comfort in some greasy grub with Now. Enter the bleach-blonde wannabe actress who dispenses some ... interesting advice that somehow makes Mocha feel better about her perceived uselessness. Back at the almost-defunct club, Hongo finally corners Yamagishi. But instead of confessions, Hongo lays down some serious roasts, questioning Yamagishi's morals for teaching high schoolers while indulging in some questionable after-hours activities. As Now heads home, she stumbles upon an interview where a famous dude named Susa, never heard of him, confesses to being friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Yikes. Meanwhile, Mocha gets a surprise karaoke invite from Sujimoto, a blast from the elementary school past.